Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November, and we're really excited to have you today.
We had to take last week off, didn't we, Rosie?
Yeah, we all had the flu, and it was really terrible.
Yeah. Now, I've had the flu several times in my life, but what I've realized is the older you get, the more it, kicks your ass.
Definitely. I mean, it's crazy because the kids bounced back within a couple of days. It's been almost 2 weeks, and you and I are still, dealing with all of the crap that came from the flu.
I know. I'm not even sure how my voice is going to hold up on this podcast. This might have to be a 3-minute podcast.
Exactly. It's been a rough week, guys.
If my voice starts breaking, we're just going to cut it short, guys. So I will try my best to stay hydrated and keep this thing going. But while we had the flu, because our kids caught it before Christmas, Little Rex was actually in the hospital on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
He was struggling with some breathing. He had kind of a weird effect with the flu. But like you said, they bounced back quickly, and you and I caught it after Christmas.
Yeah.
And there was one day when we both had the flu where neither one of us got out of bed. We were in bed. Our kids, I have no idea what the hell happened that whole day.
It was terrible. I mean, I did get out of bed long enough to make them some food, but it was literally like mac and cheese, throw it on the table and go straight back to bed. And at one point, as I was cooking, I was thinking, we need help. We need somebody. Somebody needs to come here and help us because we are in a really bad shape right now.
Yeah, we were hot messes, and it lasted for us for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
I did go back to work. I've been good enough to work. It's been rough.
Yeah, I do not recommend getting the flu type B.
We are no longer contagious, so don't worry. You're not going to catch anything by listening to this podcast.
Exactly. You know, as we were in the hospital with Little Rex, I was thinking, this is how people die of the flu. I've always sort of thought that was just, a myth that you would die of the flu when they say, oh, well, you could die if you get the flu. I guess I kind of thought it was a myth. But then when our son could not breathe and he literally couldn't get air and he sounded like Darth Vader, I was like, this is how people die of the flu.
Yeah, he woke us up Christmas Eve, the morning of Christmas Eve at 6 a.m, woke the whole house up.
Yeah.
Just by his breathing. I thought the washer was going off or something. It was crazy. But
it sounded like there was a hole in his lung.
So the doctor informed us that the reason people die from the flu is oftentimes due to dehydration, as well as the fever getting out of control.
Yeah.
And with Little Rex, we did a really good job of making sure the fever was not getting out of control. We medicated, but he was refusing to drink.
Yeah.
And they think perhaps the weird breathing came on due to dehydration. So I cannot overemphasize, because after that, I became the drinking Nazi.
Yeah.
I was funnel to the mouth, forcing the kids to drink.
And now you're not only a pink eye expert, but you're also a flu expert.
I'm an expert in the flu. Late life expertise. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome. Yeah, stay hydrated, people. This is what you got to do. So we're into the new year, about 2 weeks in. 90% of the population have already failed on their New Year's resolutions. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I will never forget the year where Rosie was telling me that we are eating too much candy. Do you remember this year?
Yes.
I believe this was 2014. You were on me about the fact that we were eating too much candy. And so you said we should have this resolution. And I was like, I don't really want this resolution, but you were determined that you wanted to give up candy and you couldn't do it without my support. So somehow you got me on board.
Yeah.
On January 2nd, we went to your dad's house and your stepmom made some delicious homemade candy.
Yeah. You cannot deny that.
I denied it.
I know, but I did not.
Rosie did not. Rosie.
I partook.
Yes, I think that was the all-time record in our household for how fast a resolution failed.
Yeah, definitely. And I've actually made a really hard resolution this year, so I'm hoping that I can keep it up. I'm 2 weeks in, and I'm still going strong. Every single day, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. So 2020 for me is the year of gratitude.
Dude, that sounds brutal.
Yeah, I know. And I've made it every single day.
You've remembered to write something down every single day?
But there's been a couple of days where I've almost forgot, and I've gotten to the last minutes of the day and I'm like, oh crap, I better do it. So I know I'm starting to slip, but I really do want to stay true to it. And the reason that I want to have gratitude be my resolution for the year is because I feel like that the more grateful that I am, the more successful that I am, the more that I love everything around me.
Yeah, it allows you to kind of focus on the positive.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really want to have a positive year in 2020. And part of that is writing down every day the things that I'm grateful for. Because it pulls me out of the day-to-day, right? And it says, let me think holistically about my life and what I'm grateful for, because you can get really mired down in the weeds, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 2020 goal. I've stuck true. I will keep updating the fans from time to time.
I am proud of you.
Yeah, thanks.
You lasted longer than you did the candy year. So
I did,
this is awesome.
Yeah, I'll keep it strong. How about you? Do you have any resolutions this year, Clyde?
I do. I'm hoping to lose 20 pounds, but first I have to gain 20 pounds. See, my resolutions are always about worsening myself so that I can make myself better. So my plan is to gain at least 10 pounds by summer, because every summer I like to lose weight over the summer. It's always my summer goal. So I like to think of the year not as like one whole year. I like to break it up into like quarters.
Yeah.
Right? So every quarter I have a resolution.
I think you're the only person who has a resolution of making things worse just so that you can achieve a goal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there's no way I could lose 20 pounds.
No, you're so skinny
the weight
already.
I am right now. I have to gain 20 pounds just so I can feel good about the weight loss.
Oh my gosh.
But the thing is weight loss actually comes fairly easy for me, because I feel like my natural weight is about 180. Mm-hmm. So if I pack it up to like 195, once I decide to lose that weight, it just goes. I always start the weight loss around the same time that other people do in my job for whatever reason. Not that I'm like trying to time it up with them or anything, but it just so happens that teachers are always becoming weight conscious around like April. And they always get mad at me because they're like, how much have you lost? I've lost 3 pounds. How much have you lost? I'm like, I've lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks or whatever, so it's fun to be that guy, you know, that's like, yeah, this is, it comes easy for me, but I know it doesn't for everyone.
Well, they say that the number one thing that people have for a resolution is typically weight loss or weight management of some kind. And then the second thing is giving up something. So, whether it's giving up an addiction like sugar or giving up drinking or whatever it is, those are the 2 most popular resolutions that people have for the year. I think they're completely backwards, and I think that is why people fail their resolutions, because they're making their resolutions so concrete around, I want to lose weight, or I want to give up drinking. Instead, the resolution should be more about the behavior versus actually giving up something or losing something. I want to live a healthier lifestyle, or I want to go several days without drinking. You know what I mean? Like the smaller milestones that are based around the behavior versus just, I'm going to quit something cold turkey.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's why I like to break my resolutions up into quarterly goals, because I feel like if I set a year-long goal and I slip in January, it's like, well, I guess we're done,
Yeah.
because I'm human. I'm not perfect, I know that I have probably failed more goals in my life than I've accomplished, and that's just kind of the nature of
goal
being
setting.
human. Yeah, exactly. You set a goal, 2 weeks in, you realize that was too hard of a goal.
Yeah.
Let me fail this now, and then I'll set a more reasonable goal.
Well, maybe one of your resolutions should be to set goals quarterly.
There we go.
You know what I mean? Like,
There we
instead
go.
of making your life worse so that you can make it better so that you achieve a goal by the end of the year, maybe it should be like quarterly, I want to create new goals that I can achieve,
That's a great idea.
In the last episode, we talked about the end of a decade, right? And now here we are embarking upon a new decade. It'll be really interesting to see what the next 10 years has to offer.
Yeah. Well, I know for us, in that we have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, at the end of this new decade that we're in, we're going to almost be empty nesters.
I know. It's crazy.
We'll have a 15-year-old daughter living at home. I'm sure it'll be hell. I'm sure it'll be the worst moment of our lives, having a teenage daughter. I've heard bad things. I don't know. I had 2 sisters.
Yeah.
Right? Claudia was a nightmare when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And little Rosie shares some genetics with her.
I know. In fact, sometimes I look at little Rosie and I'm like, you should be Claudia's daughter.
With how headstrong she is.
She's more like Claudia than she is like me. And I'm like, yeah, I think you should have probably went to her,
Yeah, if Claudia lived closer, every time she started acting like Claudia, we could just pass her off.
Exactly.
Be like, all right, today she's yours.
Yeah.
But no, she has to live in Salt Lake City. And
I know.
So far away. So what about like decade-long goals? Are there any goals you want to accomplish by the end of the decade? And I know that we just talked about making like small-scale goals, and that's like the biggest scale goal.
Yeah.
But do you have any decade-wide goals?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be married to you still
Ooh.
by the end of the decade. Now, it's going to take a lot of work,
It's going to take a lot of
goals and
forgiveness.
forgiveness and milestones. But I just think it makes the most financial sense to remain married to you. Yeah.
That's so true.
Now, after that decade, when half of our kids are out of the house and we decide maybe
Once
we
our
want
kids are through college, we can reevaluate.
We can revisit.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, no, we just watched a movie last night about 2 people getting divorced, and at one point they had the comment that this divorce is so expensive, our child will not be able to go to college anymore, which is a nightmare,
Exactly. And I don't know. I think you're a great partner in life, and so it's
Rosie.
fun to experience this world with you. Yeah. So anyhow, I would really like to have our debt paid off in the next decade. I think that would be a solid goal.
Yeah. But I mean, we have like 30 years to go on this house.
I know, but if we do good things, maybe we could pay off all the other debt besides the house.
So you're not necessarily
what I mean?
talking about the house.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really depressing. At the end of this decade, we'll only be 1/3 of the way done with our house.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that hurts. That doesn't even make me want to keep on living.
No, it's going to be a great decade. I'm excited. I think that there will be a lot of fun things going on with our kids as we raise them.
Life is an adventure.
Life is going to be great.
In every year, every month, every week, every decade, there's going to be peaks and valleys, right? And you got to ride those waves. You just got to ride them. You got to embrace them. You got to understand that not everything is always going to be great. Sometimes life is going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to lose things. You're going to lose a job. You're going to lose a loved one.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a dog. But you just got to ride that wave and remember that sometimes those low moments are crucial, because if it weren't for those low moments, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the good moments.
Exactly.
If every moment was good, what would it all be worth? It wouldn't mean anything.
Well, speaking of low moments, we've had a few low moments in our life. A lot of times where we've had to completely start over. One of the things that I've learned through that is all of the crap that we store. As human beings, we store so much crap. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry to store people's crap. So that's the main topic for today, is storage. All the stuff as human beings that we store.
A big part of storage is collection.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to talk about what my first collection was. When I was a kid, I started collecting things. I found collecting things a cool hobby.
Yeah.
My first collection was stickers, right? I had a nice little pencil box that I had used in the second grade classroom. And when the summer came around, I took that pencil box home and I decided this is going to be my storage container for my stickers. I also collected keychains, and I also collected baseball cards, which I've always told myself that was going to put my kids through college one day because I have quite the collection. I don't know if that's actually going to pan out, and those are actually going to be worth anything. You know, I've got like a Ken Griffey Jr. card, and the last time I looked, it was worth like $20, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, come on, he's like a Hall of Famer. You know?
You know it's bad when you can go to the pawn shop and buy your card for like $25.
I'm like, this is not the financial stability I was dreaming of. Right?
You're like, oh, sweet, this one actually has a signature. I'm going to buy this one to replace the one I have.
Like, that one's worth more. Nice. It's worth like $5 more. Over time, I've lost 2 of those collections. When I moved out of the house, I think my mom just threw away my stickers and my keychain collection. Yeah. Which is fine.
She's good at throwing things away.
Oh, she is very good at throwing things away. She has a disability, and that disability is purging. I have to throw things away. See, my mom doesn't have a problem with this whole collection thing. Yeah. Because she is constantly just purging everything. She hates junk.
Can I tell the story of your mother throwing away the most important thing to me?
This was the first time Rosie and I potentially could have got divorced over this incident. So go ahead.
So when I was 14 years old, my house burned down.
And that's one way to get rid of your collection. Like, let's just burn this whole mother down.
Yeah, that was really a horrible event.
Yes.
It happened because we plugged a Christmas tree into an outlet that had never had anything plugged into it before. And it turned out that the little connectors inside that outlet were sparky or something. I don't know. It created heat.
It sounds official to me.
Yeah. Over the course of a couple of days, that heat really took off and turned into spark. While my family was out sledding, I was at a friend's house, and the house burned down within minutes. Like, it got really hot really fast. Anyways, my room, for whatever reason, because it was off of everybody else's, I had like a little Christmas tree in my room, and it had some ornaments on it. And in the house fire, my room was the only one that ended up being untouched.
God saved your room.
It was stinky. Like, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of smoke damage, and it was like everything in that room was destroyed by smoke. But a few trinkets existed. One of those trinkets were my Christmas ornaments.
From the little tree?
Yes, from the little tree.
Nice.
Another thing that existed was some photographs, which we're really lucky to have because those are some of the only pictures that we have of our family.
Yeah, they always say in a house fire, pictures are the thing you got to save.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Nowadays, that would be like save your hard drive, right? Like,
and I've always been a scrapbooker, so I happen to have a lot of our photos in my room at the time of the house fire. So it was just really lucky that my room didn't go down because we got to keep A, some of our Christmas ornaments, and B, some of our pictures.
And a copy of The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
Which we still own today, and it's so smoke damaged.
It is.
You can't even, like...
You can't open it, but yeah.
We don't even have a VHS player, but we've got this copy of The Little Mermaid.
Exactly. So a few things survived the house fire, and those were those things. Anyhow, fast forward to Clyde and I's first Christmas together. We're living in this little bitty apartment. We have a Christmas tree. I have all my ornaments on it. And Claudia gives us some other ornaments so that we had like a full Christmas decked out thing. Well, at the end of the season, we packed it all up and put it in Clyde's mom's garage.
That's right, because we had no storage in this tiny little apartment.
It was
we were living in.
It was 600 square foot apartment.
Yeah. So I took it to my parents' garage because, you know, they have a big garage. They have a big attic that, you know, I stored stuff up there pretty much until they sold the house, right?
Right.
And so I told my dad, hey, I have this box of Christmas ornaments. Can we put it in the attic? And he said, oh, yeah, sure. Just set it in the garage. I'll get it up there at some point.
Next thing you know, Clyde's mom donates all of my Christmas ornaments to the Goodwill. It was literally the first time I cried in front of your mother.
Oh,
I was like, that is the only thing that I still have from my childhood.
It was kind of weird because we were relatively new as well. Like we had just gotten married. So we had some ornaments that didn't quite make it into the box. And you find that when you're taking down Christmas, there's always one or two,
the
three or four
stragglers.
things you leave behind. So we went to my parents' house. Rosie said, hey, take this into the garage, put it in that box. I go out into the garage and I'm looking around. I can't find it. So I go up in the attic. I can't find it. And I come back downstairs and I'm asking my parents, hey, where'd that box go? And my mom's like, what box? And I'm like, the box of our ornaments.
Yeah.
And my mom reveals that she had donated it because she's like, oh, I thought those were just worthless ornaments. Rosie instantly starts bawling and runs to the bathroom. Now, I was upset because I was like, dude, why would you donate our crap? But I didn't even realize that those were like some of the few trinkets that survived the house fire.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize the significance of those ornaments. And at first I was even thinking, this is a bit of an overreaction. Like, I'm like, if you're mad, like, just, tell me later. We'll vent about it later, complain about my mom later. Let's not do it in front of the whole November family. We don't really like showing our emotions.
Right.
But yeah, you went into the bathroom. You were crying hard. And my mom kept looking at me, rolling her eyes, and was like, it's just some ornaments. And I was like,
you're like, yeah, I know.
Women,
right?
I want to defend the honor of my wife, but at the same time, I'm like struggling here. I'm between a rock and a hard place. I'm like, she'll give her time, let her cry. She'll get over it.
Yeah, really.
And finally, through these gasping breaths, because you were having a hard time breathing through this.
And when I cry, I am a wailer. I am not a quiet crier.
So finally, through your choppy breaths, you revealed to us that those, along with the pictures and the Little Mermaid, were the only things that survived the house fire.
Yeah.
Instantly, my mom was like, well, I feel like crap.
For one, you guys are trash talking my behavior.
I know.
Yeah. And so then she's like, well, we took it to the Goodwill. And she's like, maybe you could go back and it would still be there, even though it'd been a couple of weeks. So we went back to the Goodwill, and sure enough, they had received the box of ornaments and had displayed them and put them out in the aisle.
Now, if I could describe the ornaments real quick. Like, honestly, these were not top-notch ornaments.
No.
They were significant, but a lot of these were like McDonald's Happy Meal toys that were ornaments, There were a couple nice ones.
Well, I wasn't a rich family. Like, I didn't come from money or anything. Like, we didn't have nice things, but we had
that you guys
important
had
things.
the Happy Meal ornaments. It's like, ooh, that means you got to eat real food that week.
Every now and then, Christmas consisted of a visit to McDonald's. What can I say?
Sounds magical. There was one ornament that Rosie actually handcrafted in her pottery class in middle school. It was a horse that looks like it's like from a carousel or something. It was pretty cool.
And then a couple of them had my picture in them. Yeah.
Like the little ornaments that have the frame and, you put your picture in there.
One of them said like my full name, like Rosie 1985, like it had actually had an inscription on it,
Yeah. So we collect as many of these things as we can find. We
did not find all of them, unfortunately. We found 4.
These were hot commodity items. People were scooping those up.
So we found 4 of the probably 30 ornaments on the shelf.
The pottery one survived.
Yes, the pottery one survived.
Which kind of offends me that no one thought your handcrafted ornament was good enough.
If a guy can tape bananas to walls and call it art, I cannot believe that my cute little horse wasn't a hot commodity. But anyways, so we found the horse. We found one of the frames that had my picture in it. We found, I think, one thing that said my name. Yeah.
The fact that no one took that one. You were a beautiful girl.
Thank you. Thank you, Clyde. I mean, sure, I agree.
It was a picture of when you were like 12. Yeah. They probably thought it was like the stock photo that comes inside the frame.
Exactly. And then one of the McDonald's ornaments.
101 Dalmatians ornament. Must have been when they re-released or when the live-action movie came out, because 101 Dalmatians is an old movie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So those are the 4 ornaments that we found and we repurchased. But it was really funny because the guy at the check stand when we were checking out was like, "This has your picture in it." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. My mother-in-law donated it to you guys, and now I have to buy it back." He's like, "I am not going to make you pay for this." So he actually gave me one of my ornaments back, but then made me pay for the other ones.
And the fact that you had inscripted your name on the back of your horse, you're like, "What about this one? Look, that's my name. I'll show you my ID." He's like, "No, that quality right there, you're paying for.
That's $2, lady.
That's full price."
Anyways, every year we return to the same Goodwill, and we actually have found other ornaments.
We have.
In the meantime, like I had a little Shrek ornament. We found that one.
And we don't know if it is the one or just a duplicate, but every now and then we'll find one and be like, "Oh my gosh." Yeah.
And you had some of your ornaments in that box too, like the little rescuers guys.
Yeah, remember the 90s rescuers down under?
Oh, yeah.
I had a McDonald's ornament as well that I had gotten from the prize box in my first grade class, and that was gone.
But we've since found it.
We have found it. So
over the years, we collect ornaments. Every year, we collect ornaments. In fact, Christmas ornaments is probably the thing that we majorly collect these days.
Yeah, we have 3 boxes in our attic just of Christmas ornaments. We have so many ornaments that we've started.
We have 2 trees now.
2 trees. And this was the first year where 2 trees wasn't enough. We actually had to pick a handful of ornaments to put back in the box.
Yeah, so it's getting pretty intense. But it all started with Clyde's mom donating the one prized possession that I had from my childhood.
And, you know, if this was 3 years ago, we would not have been able to publicly talk about this. I feel like some healing has happened.
We've had some
more
healing
recently. It took about 10 years to heal from that. And every Christmas, Rosie would bring it up, be like, "Oh my gosh, your mom. I don't even know why I married into this family."
Yeah, a lot of healing has happened. There's apologies. You know, it's fine. It's fine. As you grow older, I think you care less and less about the things that you collect, you know?
Yeah, but surviving things from a house fire, that's hard to get over. Like, I totally get it. Like I said, my mom threw away my keychain collection. I didn't even bat an eye. In fact, until about 2 years ago, when little Rex was like, "Do you have any collections from when you were a kid?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I used to collect keychains. Whatever happened to that?"
Yeah, but this whole house is riddled with your childhood. I mean, we have the same couches that you grew up with. It's not like your childhood isn't ever so present everywhere we go, you know. The more things that we collect, the more that we have to store, right? So I have a collection that is very heavy. I collect rocks.
You tend to believe that these rocks have like mystical powers, right?
Well, I wouldn't say mystical powers.
Like, describe it to me. I used to call it your religion, and then you yelled at me one day, so now I don't call it your religion.
I am a Christian. I do, however, believe in crystal energy because I grew up with a mom who's a hippie who believed in this stuff. And so like when I would get sick as a child, my mom would like lay me down in the full moon and like put rocks all over my body. And
you know, that's how they used to kill people too. Like, let's lay this guy down and put some rocks on him.
So I grew up with the knowledge of crystal energy and how it can have healing powers. It really has to do with the mind-body connection, which is very powerful. And science today is starting to reach more into that mind-body connection. And so if you can connect with the energy of a stone and it can help you connect your mind to your body, there's a lot of healing that can happen from that. So I collect crystals. Yes, everybody, it's true. I have this collection.
Yeah, now I have to say, I was and am a big time skeptic of all this. Rosie, when she first started introducing this into our marriage, I was like, what the? At first I was like, oh, these are cool looking rocks. And she's like, it's not about the way they look. Right. However, there have been times where I've been having a hard day and Rosie gave me the treatment of her mother, said, why don't you lay on your back and I'll put rocks on you. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit,
every time you feel better.
It does help me feel better.
I
don't know what it is. There are magical powers inside these rocks. That's the best way I can explain it. Anyways.
Yes, exactly. And every person who has been fortunate enough to let me do some crystal healing on them has benefited from that experience.
Oh, yeah. Like Andrew at one point was coming over like 3 times a week. Like, hey, man, can you lay some more rocks on me? It's like, if we could get him to have that much dedication toward this podcast,
I know.
He'd be a great employee.
I know. Anyhow, so this collection has caused us great dismay in our marriage because we have moved 12 times in the last 13 years.
Now, there's 2 things that are the heaviest things to move. When I say heavy, I'm talking about you put them in a very small box, but yet that box is freaking heavy. I'm not talking about like a washer and dryer. Those are heavy, but those are big, so you expect them to be heavy.
Yeah.
Number 1 is rocks, which Rosie collects.
And I probably have about 400 pounds worth of rocks.
Number 2 is books, which I collect. And actually, I guess we both collect books.
Yeah, I also collect books.
Yeah, that's a bad combination. That means every time someone's come over to help us, they always see the little box sitting there, and they say, oh, I'll grab this little one. And that little box is like 60, 70 pounds, right? And it's always unexpected. So I always tell people when they're helping us move, the smaller the box, the heavier it is. Because the small boxes, we have to put all your rocks in and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Or books. But I don't know why books are so stinking heavy. Like, they don't seem like they should be that heavy.
Yeah.
But a box full of books is almost unliftable if it's a good-sized box.
Right. Shortly after little Rosie was born, we reached the lowest point in our lives. We had to give up our house. We had to move in with your parents. And we had to put everything that we owned in storage.
Yeah. It was a time of transition for us. We were switching jobs, but due to the nature of Rosie being born
and how expensive she was. She's $1 million
baby. And we, the second she was born, were in more debt than we could ever possibly even fathom getting out of.
Yeah. And we will probably live in debt for a long, long time because we have never been able to catch up from that.
Totally worth it, though.
Totally. Yeah.
Except when she starts acting like Claudia. But other than that, totally worth it.
Yeah, but she was born, 1 pound, 15 ounces, and struggled for life. And so every day with little baby Rosie is a miracle. And we're so grateful for her. And we love her.
So we had to put everything that we owned in storage.
Right. And we had to get a big storage unit because we had a lot of crap.
Yeah, far too much crap. In fact, when we were packing up all of our crap, we should have just been chucking stuff.
Right.
But we weren't, of course.
Well, I was in the hospital, and you and our family had to load up without me and move without me. You left me and moved 10 hours away.
Like I said, tough time.
Yes, exactly.
It was a transitional period. But
I lived in the hospital with little Rosie. It was so scary and terrible and hard, but we lived through it. But here's the thing that happened. We rented a large U-Haul. We filled that U-Haul, plus you had to go back and get a trailer as well. We had so much crap.
And we filled the back of my dad's truck. Yeah, we had too much crap. For sure. Right? Now, the people we were living next to, I would like to point out, had more crap than us. Because they were hoarders. Like, I don't want to make it sound like we're hoarders, because we're not. We just have too much crap, but it's on the scale of normalcy.
Yeah,
still.
and it's big stuff, like couches and chairs and dressers and beds and frames and all these things, right? And so we moved it into a storage unit that cost us probably, $280 a month to store all of our crap. And as we were unloading our storage unit, I realized that half of that crap we didn't really need. We should have just sold it, right? We literally took out our couch, put it in front of the storage unit, and sold it within 3 hours because we posted on Facebook Marketplace, hey, we got a couch out here if you want to buy it. And so by the time we were moving out of the storage unit into the apartment, we had to get rid of half the crap anyways, but we had paid $300 a month to store it.
Had we got rid of that stuff initially, we may have been able to fit everything into a smaller storage.
I mean, I only had 4 trinkets from my childhood.
Only 4 significant things. Yet we felt the need to store everything.
And I think that's how storage goes now. I mean, I think a lot of human beings, not all, but a lot, have a really hard time letting go of things. And so that is why the storage industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. People hold on to stuff.
And I feel like we've actually been doing better about this as we've moved into this house, because some of the furniture just did not fit with the arrangement of the house.
Right.
And I feel like there were times in our lives we would have just lived with it. But we're like, screw it. Let's get rid of this crap. It doesn't fit in the house, and this is our forever home. Why, populate it with stuff that's not right,
Yeah.
So I'm proud of us for that. This is something that Rosie and I have had different philosophies on. And I think the difference in it is that I grew up middle class with a mom that purged. And you grew up poor with nothing.
Yeah.
And so the things that you had were significant to you.
Right.
And a good example is one time I was annoyed by how full the drawers were in our kitchen. And I was like, we have 16 wooden spoons, and so I started making piles of items to show how much of each item we had. And I was just like, I don't know how this happened, but we just have too much. Anyway, so I got these measuring cups and I set them aside. And
it hurts for you to even tell the story right now. I'm having a hard time sitting here while you're telling this story.
Yes, these measuring cups were also special. Now, here's the thing. The measuring cups, they were made of metal. They had rust on them. And I had never seen them be used. They were just shoved in the back of the drawer. Because we also had some plastic ones and some more usable ones. We even have those foldable ones.
Oh, yeah, those are cool.
You flatten,
I really like those.
But then when you need them, you push them open and it's like the size of a cup or a half cup or whatever.
Those are awesome.
I know, those ones are awesome. Those are the ones we got to keep. And I'm like, why do we have these metal ones? So I'm making the pile of things I think we should donate. Rosie sees the measuring cups and says, no, we can't get rid of those.
No.
And
You never get rid of a measuring cup, and let me tell you why. You can never find the fucking measuring cup that you need, right? I need a 1/4 of cup of water. You can never find it. And so you got to have multiple sets, and just the idea of throwing away any of our measuring cups was just nonsense to me, because you always need extra measuring cups. You can never have enough measuring cups.
Well, that wasn't the only thing that made this particular measuring cup special to you. When Rosie moved out of her mom's house and was moving into her first apartment, her 7th grade teacher, who has played a very significant role in your life throughout your childhood, 7th grade teacher said, hey, I'm going to help you stock your kitchen for the first time. And she gave you these metal measuring cups. So even the fact that they were rusted, even the fact that I hadn't seen them be used, I didn't even know we owned the measuring metal cups because they were literally in the back of the drawer. You did not want to get rid of them.
No.
Because they were this gift from this lady.
And you're focusing on the metal measuring cups. You also wanted to get rid of an extra set of measuring cups.
Sure.
Yeah, there was not just those. There was half of our measuring cups you had put in the get rid of pile. And yes, they are special to me because she gave them to me, but every one of those measuring cups I felt very passionately needed to be kept.
Right. And my theory is when you know someone who's moving into a new apartment and they're 18, getting their first apartment, That
18?
is, well, I know you were younger, but I'm talking about normal situations.
Yeah, which makes me hold on to them deeper with more intensity because I was 14 years old.
Yeah, okay. Well, not everyone moves out of the house when they're 14 years old. I'm trying to talk about normal situation.
Okay.
When you know like an 18-year-old that's moving out or getting an apartment and has nothing, what generally tends to happen is everyone decides it's time to purge. And we're going to give this person that old couch we don't want anymore.
Right.
We're going to give them rusted measuring cups that we just don't need, so we have an excuse to go buy a nice new set. Mm-hmm. So while your 7th grade teacher has this nice new set of measuring cups, and I'm certain she does, and they have no rust on them whatsoever, we've been hanging on to these rusty measuring cups.
Yeah, I hold on to the leftovers of others because I cannot get rid of that emotional connection, right? Which is really interesting because that's the kind of gifts that I received, right? Was somebody else's crap that they didn't want anymore. And to this day, if somebody gives me something that they purchased at like a secondhand store that they thought of me and it was special, I love those gifts so much, you know, and I receive them very well. But as Claudia said, I have not always received all gifts well because I wasn't used to receiving like brand new, nice, expensive gifts.
Yeah.
Until I moved into the November family, you know. So it's
someone
really
gives
interesting.
You an old rusted measuring
cup.
You're going to hang on to it for life. Claudia spends $50 to get you a nice present. You're like, what? I don't know what to do.
Let's not put this in present tense. That was Rosie 13 years ago.
True.
I have grown.
You have worked hard on your gift.
And Claudia, by
receiving.
accident, gave me gifts this Christmas, and they were my absolute favorite gifts that I received the entire Christmas.
That's hurtful. What about the snow globe I gave you?
No, the gifts that Claudia gave me were my favorite.
You hear that, Claudia? Well, at some point, because I have my mother in me, and I hate saying that, but I am my mother, you know? I think really you take parts of your parents, but I am my mother.
Yeah.
And I do have the urge to purge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that rhymed. That was amazing. The urge to purge.
Yeah.
Dude,
but here's the thing.
I'm naming this episode The Urge to Purge.
My gosh. Here's the thing. You and I have gotten in a knockdown, drag out, almost divorce fight over you donating little Rex's baby toys. I think that was the maddest I have ever been at you. And you not only did it once, but you did it twice.
I may have lost your trust. The first
and to this day, the kids know now because they witnessed this fight, and it was the first time I think that I ever dropped an F-bomb at Clyde in front of the children. And I literally slammed our front door and was like, I am never coming back.
Just to be clear, it was not the first time she dropped an F-bomb at me. Just in front of the children.
I was so mad. I got in my car. I went down to the place where you donated it. I convinced them to give me back some of the toys.
It was similar to the Christmas ornaments.
Yeah. And I don't think I have ever been more angry with you. And the crazy thing is 3 years later, you did it again with little James's toys. And that time I could not get them back.
When our kids can't close their closet because of all their baby toys, I just feel like it's time.
And that's okay. Like, here's the thing. I am okay with donating things. We do it all the time.
You just want the say.
I want to know what's being donated, and I want to have my hands on it. I want to say goodbye to it. I want to know what is going out of the house. And part of the reason for this is I'm the only person in this house who knows every single thing we own and where it's at. If you start just throwing shit away, all of a sudden there's an item in inventory in my brain, and then I cannot find it. And I hate that feeling. So I need to know what is what and where it lives in our house.
So it's more about like the heads up.
It is.
Okay.
It's the heads up, and it's the visually seeing things as they go out of our house.
Okay.
That is important to me. And you've
It's
already
good to
learned
know.
that lesson, so don't even pretend like this is the first time you're hearing it.
I'm going to give you a heads up.
Because you almost died.
I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm I'm getting rid of the clowns tomorrow.
Yeah, you're not. You know you for a fact that I would have your head if you got rid of the clowns.
Yeah.
Grandma's going to haunt us if we get rid of the clowns.
I've recently decided to embrace the clowns.
Exactly.
I actually moved them out of the hutch and put them, because we were moving things around, putting Christmas ornaments away. It's time to pack up Christmas. So our shelves in the front room were empty. And I just thought, I'm gonna cave. I'm gonna give Rosie a win and move those clowns out to the front. And I have to say, for someone that loves the clowns as much as you weren't happy about the fact that I moved them to the front.
I don't like them being moved. That's for sure. I would really actually like it, Clyde, if you would stop touching my things. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but I don't have very many things that are just mine, but you tend to touch every single one of them. And so if you could just stop that, that would be great.
I can't make any promises. I like touching things. I like moving things.
Yeah.
I like losing things.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming back to our main topic, which is this idea of storage. Now, even though we have purged a lot of our things and we've really downsized, we still have a lot of crap that we're storing. If we died tomorrow, somebody would have to come into this house and go through a bunch of stuff that we own and donate it, Yeah,
stuff that you couldn't even sell in like an estate sale.
Like, let's say a rusty measuring cup.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. It's whatever. This is the crap that we carry, right? What I have noticed, though, is over half of our friends have garages that they can't even park their cars in.
That's true. And we can at least park our cars in the garage, right?
We've got that going for us. But that just goes to show people store too much stuff that you don't need. So maybe in 2020, your goal should be to get rid of some of it. Let's not carry all this crap.
The goal should be, let's fit at least one car in the garage.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not let the business of storage be a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
Now, storage owners, please don't come after us at I Love My Idiot podcast. I still think you should have a business. Don't get me wrong. Small business owners are the backbone of this society. But I just think as humans, we should store less things.
Absolutely. Storage units should be for
your boat.
Your trailer, your RV.
Yes.
And
your recreational equipment.
And for situations where maybe you are in transition.
Yes.
Right? And you need a place to put your stuff. Mm-hmm. It should not be this thing where I just have mountains of stuff and I can't fit it in the house, so I'm going to pay an extra $300 to keep it,
Exactly.
But that's not the only way the storage industry is making so much money. Think about like bins. Like you go to Walmart and you're like, I need to buy a bin.
Oh.
And those bins are never durable. So they break every like 2 years. You got to replace the bin.
Half of them at the store are already broken.
Yeah. If you're buying multiple bins, make sure you
just grab them all.
Look at every single one closely. We've done that before where we
got
get
them home. It's like 3 of them are broken.
It's awful, right? But then there's other forms of storage, and we've kind of dabbled in a lot of them. One of them was these bags that you hook a vacuum up to.
Oh, yeah, those were cool.
Right?
Concept, very awesome.
Concept,
utility,
awesome.
Not.
Practicality, no. Right? So I have a ton of Army stuff that, for whatever reason, I feel like I just can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Right? I've got 4 camo uniforms and 4 desert camo uniforms, and I wore those things too much. Oh, and 4 digiprint uniforms. So I've got 12 uniforms, and I just can't get rid of them. So we decided, thanks to this infomercial, that if we got one of these storage bags and put your stuff in there, you vacuum it, and the suction shrinks everything down to the size of, manageable. Let's just call it manageable. Because if you think about 12 uniforms in a bag,
it takes all the air out.
Oh, yeah. It takes all the air out. But in fabric, you might be surprised how many little pockets of air there are between the threads that you can't see. So when you vacuum that, it really suctions it down. So we suctioned all this stuff down, put it inside a storage bin. We were amazed that we fit 12 uniforms in a storage bin. And then we put it in the attic. And what happened to that bag?
It exploded.
Yeah. It didn't hold. So all of a sudden, one day, it expands, tries to expand to normal size. I now have 12 uniforms that are jammed inside this storage bin that you cannot get out. Like, it is just stuck. I mean, stuck for safekeeping, fine, whatever. But if I ever want these, or I die and need to give one to each of my grandchildren as like a keepsake to remember Grandpa November, I'm going to have to like get a saw and chop the storage container open.
Well, look, I mean, that's a little bit dramatic. Probably some scissors will do.
And I think the storage container will die at some point anyways, because they always seem to.
Yeah, I know, really. The idea of storage is just, it's a huge thing, right? It's not just where you store your crap, it's what you store your crap in.
And if you're going to store your crap, you definitely want to make sure it's in something durable.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't make the mistake we did and put it in cardboard boxes, because if you happen to get a mouse problem in your garage, you lose some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I lost a couple of yearbooks.
Well, and you had a whole bunch of fabric because when we were poor, you used to make clothes. In fact, the pajamas I'm wearing right now are homemade pajamas from like 10 years ago. Still holding strong.
Oh, thanks.
You should make clothes for a living, by the way.
I have some good stitching skills. That's all I got to say.
You do. And you pick the appropriate thread
I
count.
I do.
So comfortable.
Yeah.
So comfortable. I feel like I'm getting
you gotta
off topic
invest
here.
a little extra in that thread, you know?
And
you
it's
can't
totally
buy the
worth
cheap
it.
thread.
Totally worth it. We just bought some sheets. And the second we unfolded them, we were like, this is going to be uncomfortable. The thread count isn't right. I hate sounding like one of those snobby thread count people, but
we are those people.
The older you get, the more it's a thing, people.
Yeah.
Anyways, we had a box.
You know, my parents give really nice sheets now. By parents, I mean my dad and his high-class wife. Like,
Sure.
So the nicest sheets that we own have actually come from other people, because when you go to buy sheets, you get stuck on price.
Save a buck. Yeah.
You cannot help yourself.
Thank you, Papa.
Yeah.
for introducing me to this new concept of thread count.
Exactly.
So we had this box of all this fabric in our garage, and we had a mouse problem.
Yes.
The year of the mouse problem was bad, but we actually saw the mouse run across the shelf in our garage and then find safe haven inside a little, like it had chewed a little knot hole in this box and go in there. So Rosie said, okay, we got to take care of this mouse problem.
Yeah.
The mice had also found a way inside the house, right? And so, I mean, this was just a horrible battle.
It was horrible. We'd never experienced mice before. And so we didn't even know what to do when you have a mouse problem. Like, it was absolutely awful.
Yeah. I look up online, what do you do about a mouse? And of course, there's all these websites about how you don't want to do anything like poison them, because a lot of times they'll eat the poison, go out into the yard, and then an owl will fly around, catch them.
It's bad for the environment.
And it's bad for the owl, right? So we were like, okay, we can't get poison. And then there were some sites that were saying you don't want to be cruel to them and have the Snapchat traps that like chop their head off or whatever.
Yeah.
So one site was like, oh, we find the really good way is to get those sticky pads.
Dude, I think that's the worst way.
Yeah, it's totally the worst way, right?
Our kids are traumatized for life.
So the sticky pads, first of all, I thought we had like one mouse. I didn't realize we had an infestation. So this became a whole like thing, right? But I set down the sticky pad one night, and I believe at first, like, no mice were going in the sticky pads.
Right.
And it says to put it where you, like, high traffic areas where you think a mouse would run by. Usually, you know.
In corners.
Yeah, in corners or right under.
Where you may have seen some droppings.
Right next to the stove, something like that, right? 3 days in, weren't catching anything.
Right. We were not placing them in strategic places.
No, I think we were, but the mice are smart. They're like, well, I'll just go around this thing or whatever. I don't know. So Rosie makes the comment that maybe we should put some peanut butter on the stick trap. And I was like, okay. Come down the next morning. And as soon as I round the corner from the stairs.
No, you weren't the first down.
That's true. The
Little
kids,
James. was the first to come down. And he ran up to our room, woke me up and said, "Mommy, the mice are so sad." And he was describing their ears. He's like, "They have the cutest ears and little noses. And it's so sad because they're crying. The mice are crying." And I'm like, "What?" Like, I'm coming from a dead sleep and I'm like, "Who's crying?" It traumatized our children.
Yeah, so I wake up all excited like, "Oh, sweet, we
Caught
caught a
some
mouse." Right? I was thinking one mouse. I round the corner at the bottom of the stairs, and from the bottom of the stairs, you could see where the trap was in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, that's a huge mouse."
Mm-hmm.
And I walk over, and as I get closer, I realize it's not a huge mouse. It's 3 different mice stuck on the same trap.
Yeah.
One came in from the left, one came in from the right, and one came in from the front. And they were all stuck, but all of their noses were on the peanut butter. And they're just, even though they're stuck and crying, they're still just licking
Eating
that
the
peanut butter. They're like,
"Oh, it's their last meal."
yes, last meal. So I'm like, well, great. What do we do with them now? Right?
Oh.
And I'm thinking, how is this less cruel to the mouse than just chopping, snapping them with the snap thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, these poor mice realize they're going to die now and they have to sit here stuck to this thing.
My story to the children is that Daddy put them at the dump. They will be set free once it rains.
Yeah. Who knows if that's true?
That is like what I want to think happened to those 3 mice.
So once I was convinced we were done with the mouse problem, and that mouse problem went on for months, I finally was like, okay, it's time to bring that box of fabric in. That box that we'd been storing.
Because you were gonna clean it. You were gonna wash it.
I was gonna wash it. I was gonna see,
see
there
what
were
was damaged.
Probably poop droppings in there and stuff. What I didn't realize is that the king of the mice was actually living in that box. So I brought the final guy into the house, just as we had totally wiped down the house.
Oh, yeah. Everything was in order.
Got it all clean. We thought we got rid of the mice. I bring the guy into the house.
And you had one sticky pad still out.
Yeah, that I had just left out for just in case. And I put a little bit of peanut butter on it, but I wasn't expecting to catch anything.
No.
One morning, I come down and I could hear this sound before I was even down the stairs. Like, it was like, ch, ch, ch. Now that's a weird sound from the kitchen, right? I run back to the room and get my samurai sword because I don't know what's down there, right?
Lies.
So I come into the kitchen, and once I round the corner and turn the light on, I can see that giant mouse is in the stick pad, all 4 hands and its tail in the stick pad.
Oh my gosh.
But the sound that was being made was he was trying to
set
jerk himself
free
out. Yeah. And as he would pull his hands up and pull his, jerk his body away, the whole trap was jumping about 3 inches off the ground and landing. It was weird.
Yeah.
Right? But what's funny is the kids cared less about that mouse because that one wasn't.
He was a little scary.
That one wasn't these cute little ones.
I mean, he may have actually been a rat.
Yeah, this guy was weird
we said
looking.
mouse, but he had more rat features than mouse features.
He was like half mouse, half rat. Like I said, this was the king of the rats.
Yeah. He was scary.
Strong enough to catch air on the stick pad.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what Clyde did with that mouse. Neither do I want to know. But
like I said, I had that samurai sword.
Clyde took care of the mouse problem and it was done. And thank goodness, this is why we will still be married 10 years from now, because you take care of stuff like that.
That's right.
A lot of the things that we were storing were damaged because of the mice, so we were able to purge naturally, and I was more comfortable with that because it was like, I'm not keeping something that's damaged.
We don't want chewed up fabric.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story, stop storing rusty crap. No, I'm joking. That's not the moral of the story.
No.
The moral of the story is we as a society, as people, have far too much stuff. But I feel like there's this new wave that's coming on. It's called minimalists.
Yes.
Right? That might be too far the other way, right? Everything in society moves like a pendulum. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for a while, hoarding the pendulum moved toward hoarding
Yeah.
too much to where there were too many people that weren't getting rid of stuff. And then the pendulum is swinging back the other way. There is
the minimalists were born out of that. Yeah.
Yes, there is a fine line in the middle.
Yeah.
Where you want stuff, but you don't want too much stuff.
Right.
We actually bought the house that we bought right now that we're sitting in. We bought from minimalists.
Yes.
And as minimalists, they came in the house and took all the cupboards out, which was why when we moved in, there were no
had to
cupboards.
put cupboards back in because it was like, how did they live? Like, they just didn't have things.
They didn't have things, so they didn't have a need for cupboards, which even if you don't have a need for cupboards, don't take your cupboards off. You're going to make, the next homeowner angry. So, bad idea.
Yeah.
We got to find that middle ground.
Yes.
Right? We don't want too much stuff. We don't want to have to be spending extra money on storage. But at the same time, there is stuff that has significance. There are cool collections out there.
Right.
There are collections that have significance. Maybe not because they're worth anything. I mean, apparently your homemade ornament was worth $2.
Exactly. I mean, $2. Yeah.
I mean, that's worth something, but not worth something that, it's not this trinket that's worth thousands of dollars. But would you sell it for thousands of dollars, knowing that it's one of 4 ornaments that survived the fire that we still own?
No, they're special to me.
Of course not. They're special.
Yeah.
And certain things
everything does have a price, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Like the clowns.
Yeah.
They have a price, $500, but Rosie is still saying no.
Exactly. Another thing that I want to point out is everything that you own, everything that's for sale at this very moment, all ends up back at the Goodwill. So maybe instead of buying brand new, recycle, reduce, reuse. The slogan from the 80s.
I think that's still around.
Like maybe buy something that's used, go on Marketplace, see if somebody else has the thing that you want or need. I think that is going to make us have a better, more sustainable society. It's not necessarily about giving everything up like we started out this podcast with giving things up, but maybe just reusing things or finding somebody else that has something that you need and paying for that from that person, giving back to society versus paying for something brand new. When you can. Not always. I'm not saying go buy your underwear used or anything like that. But, if you need a chair, maybe look on Marketplace, see if somebody's selling a chair in your neighborhood, And
you can find quality things. Now, the counter to this argument, have you ever bought stuff from people on Marketplace? It's almost worth it to pay full price and buy from a store just to avoid Marketplace people.
Sure. Right? You do have to go to some sketchy places.
You do.
Meet at some weird gas stations at times.
And last summer, I took up selling stuff on Marketplace. That was a nightmare, too. You get people that promise that they'll come. You get people that promise that they will pay extra if you don't sell it to someone else, and then you turn 3 or 4 people away, and then they don't show up anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, Rosie, it's been a while since we've had an idiot spotlight. I want to talk about idiots at the grocery store.
Oh, those are the worst idiots.
Those are the worst idiots, right? We've talked about a lot of different kinds of idiots. This is an idiot that I feel like every single person has come into contact with, right? Now, the first thing I would like to talk about is the decisions people make when they're getting ready to go to the grocery store or the lack thereof getting ready. What some people wear at the grocery store is despicable. I worked in a grocery store once. And sometimes you would see someone show up and you could tell that they looked in the mirror before and you're like, oh, that's very nice. You look very attractive today. Thank you for caring enough to look attractive so the rest of us don't have to,
look at you.
Yeah. Then you have other people that show up in shorty shorts when they have no business wearing them.
Yeah, or the muumuu.
The muumuu.
My all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Wearing house slippers.
The The one thing I have not seen that I'm surprised is the hospital gown where the flap is open in the back and you just see someone's ass. That's like the one thing I have not seen. But short of that, I've seen it all. And it's not pretty.
Yeah.
So
my favorite is the guy who has a shirt that's a little too short, but he doesn't realize half of the underbelly is like hanging out.
Is it that the shirt is too short or the underbelly is too large? I think it's the underbelly is the problem, not the shirt.
And that guy's always got, the plumber's crack hanging out.
Oh, yeah. And there's always wolves on his shirt for some reason.
Yeah. I know.
So
he's a lone wolf.
Yeah. Another idiot I hate at the grocery store is when I'm wearing a sports hat of some kind.
Uh-huh.
Some crusty old man wants to come talk to me about that team. I don't go to the store to get into conversations with people. Okay?
Yeah.
I want to pack up my stuff and just move on. Right.
My least favorite is running into people at the grocery store. And they always want to chat with you, but it's just like, seriously, I just came here. I have a list. I want to get everything on my list and get the heck out of here. Yeah, I hate running into people I know at the grocery store.
No, I've been in the situation where you're coming from one side of the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming from the other. You meet in the middle. You have that quick 2-minute, like, hey, how are you? How's life? And then it's great. And then you both go to the end of the aisle.
And you say goodbye.
Yep.
You're like,
and then you loop
we'll
around.
See you later.
And you see them on the next aisle and you realize, like,
you're on the same path.
I'm like, oh, crap. There's times I've had to totally rearrange my shopping path.
Or just end it.
Yeah, just because I'm like,
I've gotten enough stuff.
I'm tired of seeing this person. Like, we went to high school together. We already talked about the one cool time we had.
Instead, you're like, oh, you're also getting oatmeal today.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, looks like people from our high school love the same kind of oatmeal. What do you know?
Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah.
Also, I hate the person who picks something up in one area and drops it in another area of the store.
I do that all the time. You know what?
Seriously, I used to work in retail, and I had to be that person to go around the store and find the things that people dropped. And so I am very conscious about that. And Clyde is a violator of that every time he goes to the grocery store.
The reason I'm a violator of that is because I know that they hire people to walk around the store and put my crap back.
I see. Job security. This is why you do that.
I do not want to take one extra step when I'm at the grocery store, right?
Yeah. But it's really embarrassing when it's like something that should be in like the cold food section. I'm like, babe, come on. At least take it back to a cold food area. Like, even if you don't put it back with the waffles, like, I don't care if you throw it in with the strawberries. At least make sure that the product can remain good.
I'm testing the store to see how quickly their people will move.
It's annoying.
Yeah, I've put food items in the clothing.
Seriously.
Put, anywhere.
It's the most embarrassing thing.
Any moment when I realize, I don't actually need that. I just put it wherever I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that idiot.
And there's something that I used to do that used to annoy you, which was couponing.
Ooh.
A lot of people hate the couponers at the stores, and they've made it so difficult now to coupon because they really watch how many coupons you use now. I think the couponing got out of control. I was one of them.
They made a TV show about couponing. It was
stores became aware.
Yeah, it was like, okay, now everyone knows about it. Rosie got in on the fad.
Oh, when it was early.
Yeah, when it was early. And we were in college, so her justification was, I got to do this because we really can't afford a lot of stuff, which was true. However, she'd come home and I'd be like, oh, did we really need 47 boxes of this cereal that no one even actually eats in our house?
Shut the front door. You ate every box of that cereal.
Yeah, because we were poor.
Another thing, toothpaste. We just barely got through all of the toothpaste
I would like to point out that they were a flavor no one enjoyed. We've been whining about brushing our teeth for the last 10 years.
Laundry detergent and fabric softener, big couponing item.
Yeah, and that worked out great, especially when we found out one of our close family members was allergic to fabric softener, and we're like, well, great. Now we
Now we
have
can't use
57
that.
bottles of fabric softener. And
Although
if we
he
use
stopped
it,
coming around and we
Yeah.
used it. It was
Yeah.
fine.
start giving
yeah.
Christmas presents. Like, oh, what do
Yeah.
you know? Fabric softener again.
So a couple of things were kind of cool because when people put out coupons, it's usually for a new item or like an up-and-coming item that they want to get the market to enjoy that item.
It's like their trick of
Yeah.
getting people to partake in their item.
So they had these breakfasts on the goes. Do you remember these?
Yeah,
They
they were these tiny
super
little
cool.
packages that had nuts in them, sometimes
Like yogurt
coconut.
balls.
Yeah, coconut. The s'more flavor was my favorite.
Yeah. Anyways, these had coupons for like $3 off a box, and the box was only like $4. So I ended up getting all of these breakfasts on the goes, probably 50 or more boxes over a course of a couple of months. But then we sort of became addicted to them because we would eat them every day. And then they stopped making them.
Yeah, that is a product that did not take
It
off.
did not take off in the marketplace. But anyways, yeah. So there's been some cool things that came from the couponing like that. Where
Do you
it's
know
like,
how hard life is when you get addicted to something that's discontinued?
I know, it's so true.
It's like,
yeah.
I'm not a drinker by any means, but the one beer that I like, you can't find.
No.
It's Killian's Irish Red, and I know it's still out there
Yeah.
because Roy somehow finds it. Claudia's husband always, every time I go to his house, he has it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where'd you get this? And he's like, oh, you got to find these novelty beer shops or whatever. And I just can't find them. So it sucks when something you really like
Yeah.
gets discontinued.
Yeah. Clyde would complain. He's like, you're such an idiot at the grocery store because of this couponing. But then he started to realize that some of the things that we were getting were actually good stuff. And so then Clyde started participating in the couponing.
Whoa. I would participate, but only because you would give me the stuff and you'd say, okay, go bring home 40 boxes of this.
Here's your coupons.
Yeah.
You're in line behind me because you'd have to pay separately because the stores, they started catching on, you know.
Yeah.
You could only buy so many things.
And this was the annoying thing about it, is you would sometimes have to make like 7 or 8 trips through the checkout line.
Yeah. It was time consuming.
Yeah. I did not enjoy it.
You don't see as much of it now, it seems like, as
No.
you did there for a
But when
little
you're
while.
a customer and you get in a line and the person in front of you pulls out their little
the book of coupons.
little book of
Yes.
coupons from inside their purse, it's
We all
just,
had it.
you start looking and you say, you know what, even though this is the shortest line, I'm going to be here much longer than those other people that were smarter than me and picked the other line.
Yeah. Smelly people at the grocery store bothers me a lot. Like if I'm buying fresh fruit and vegetables and I walk by somebody that smells really bad who's also touching that, I won't buy it at that store.
Yeah.
I'll move on. Also, I really hate the super disgruntled customer who wants to complain at the cashier. It's like, it's not her fault that you didn't have the right kind of cheese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it makes me feel really uncomfortable when people are overly confrontational about stuff that's like out of anybody's control.
Yeah. And let me tell you, when you get to the cashier and the cashier says, "Did you find everything okay?" The answer is yes, whether you did or not.
Exactly.
Right? Like, don't hold up the line. Don't say, well, I couldn't find this. Because I've seen times where they actually send the bagger to try to go find that item.
Yeah.
And it holds up the whole line.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, it's all about just keep the line moving.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, the people who try to negotiate the price. It's like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? You're at a grocery store. The price is posted. Like, you're not going to be able to negotiate this
This is
price.
the United States of America.
Yeah.
Go back to Romania or wherever you came from where
I have
haggling was a
seen
thing.
you try to haggle, though, at the grocery store. You're like, but this can has a dent in it. And 9 times out of 10, they do give you a percentage off.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to know what they're going to be okay
I'm
with.
like, Clyde, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I purposely, if I'm like buying a shirt, I purposely try to find the one with the flaw.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, sweet. This one's on clearance and they don't even know it yet.
Yeah. So, you know, there's those idiots at the grocery store.
I'm talking about the hagglers that will just come up with random shit.
Sure.
Like, oh, I'm buying 7 cans. I want the discount for 7. There's no buy 7, get a discount.
No.
That's not a thing.
No. If it's not posted, then that's not the price, I sort of understand what you do with the flawed materials, and it has been successful for you. But things that are just regular things at regular prices, people need to stop trying to negotiate.
I think I learned it from an Adam Sandler movie. There's like a movie where he goes into the can aisle and he's actually throwing cans on the ground to dent them. I've never done that.
No.
But if I find a dented can, I'm definitely going to see if I can get the discount. And you know what? There's been times I've been told no, and I still buy the can. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Never be that person that puts stuff back at the front. Seriously, unless there's one reason that you can do that. If they can't figure out what the price is of that item.
Oh, yeah. If something's not labeled and they're like, oh, we can't find the barcode. Don't let them send little Jimmy off. He's not coming back quickly. I promise you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
keep the line going. Whatever it takes to make that line go faster, that's the thing you need to do.
If you're ever at the grocery store and you see that I'm in line, I promise you, if you get in the line behind me, that line is going to move fast.
Yeah.
I am all about moving it fast. If something's not labeled, get rid of it.
There have been times where a price wasn't able to be found and we just said, no thanks. And we literally went to the next grocery store to get that same item because we did not want to have to go back in and find that item again. And we didn't want to hold up the line. It's the courteous thing to do.
Another thing is, if you're shopping at 4 a.m. on a Black Friday, you probably are an idiot.
That is the worst.
I know. The amount of aggression that is out there, seriously, people boxing you out like they're playing in the NBA Finals or something.
If you ever want to see idiots at their finest, go on Black Friday. You will see the most idiots in one place at one time.
Yeah. The great thing is when you're doing tug war over the last DVD with someone and then you realize like, hey, that's my coworker I'm fighting with or whatever.
So we did make the mistake of going Black Friday shopping this year.
But it wasn't even Friday.
No.
It was 6 o'clock
on Thanksgiving.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
And we figured, who's going to shop on Thanksgiving? Let's go buy this.
Yeah. And I had put something in my cart that was desired because it was really cheap, but it was nice. It was an electronic. It was actually one of those Rokus. Somebody literally grabbed it out of my cart. I think that's stealing. I'm just saying.
It is stealing.
Even though it wasn't purchased by either of us yet. And thank goodness someone had ditched one in the bread aisle. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like heaven sent. Because that's actually what we got for your parents for Christmas. But I was just like, who takes things right out of a person's cart?
So in summary, don't be an idiot at the grocery store.
Nobody likes it when you're an idiot at the grocery store.
Yeah. Make sure you dress appropriately.
Yes.
Make sure if something's not labeled, you ditch that item.
In the appropriate place where it goes, of course.
You got to ditch it one way or another, people. Yeah. Just ditch it.
Just be nice. Yeah. Like, let's just be nice at the grocery store.
Let's just be decent.
Yeah, let's be decent human beings. Let's use our manners.
Every time I go to the grocery store, I always leave with a headache.
Oh,
and a large part of it is because of the lights in the grocery store. A large part of it is because of the walking. Mm-hmm. And you know how I feel about exercise. But the majority of it is the idiots that you're around. And people, we just got to tone down our idiocy for those moments when we're in public, all right?
Yeah, don't be an idiot at the grocery store.
All right, Rosie. I think our voices held up better than I thought they were
going to.
I know.
We actually did very well, and I'm proud of us.
I'm proud of us, too. I was convinced that this was going to be like a 4-minute podcast.
We held strong, so that's good.
We did hold strong. I mean, hopefully we weren't coughing in your ear or anything. I'll go back and I'll try to snip all the coughs out for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Anyhow, don't forget that you can listen to our podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms.
Recommend our show to a friend.
We just want people to listen. We want to have more fans, and we're just really blessed to have this podcast and to tell our stories to the world. So don't forget to tell your idiot that you love them.
I love my idiot.
And the fact that you had inscripted your name on the back of your horse, you're like, what about this one? Look, that's my name. I'll show you my ID. He's like, no, that quality right there, you're paying for.
That's $2, lady.
That's full price.